It'd be better if you took $500 million, put it in a pile on the floor, poured gasoline on it, lit it on fire.
Well, the body's still here, but the spirit has left the building.
Y'all don't want to feed no folks. Y'all don't want to house no folks. Y'all want a citizen-owned airline.
Approach life with the audacity and delusion of the guy telling us all that we're going to buy Spirit Airlines.
What about if the people bought Spirit Airlines, making it the first community-owned commercial airline carrier? Admittedly, that is not my idea. It started with this.
Okay, I had a genius idea. Spirit Airlines just went bankrupt, right? I'm the guy that flew Spirit Airlines for 24 hours straight. There's more than 250 million individuals over the age of 18 in the United States. Now, if we took only 20% of them and paid basically the average fare of a Spirit Airlines flight, which is somewhere around $30 to $40, we could buy Spirit Airlines. This is a genius idea. We for this.
Now, that video started out as pretty much a joke, but people took it seriously and immediately started asking him to go ahead and build a website. So he did. He built a website so that people could pledge to help buy Spirit Airlines.
Okay, so it's been about 2.5 hours, and y'all are really interested in all of us buying Spirit Airlines. So I made a website. It's called letsbuyspirit.com. Register your intent. I won't take any money. We're not going to use the Venmo anymore. That was kind of a joke. And we're going to try and, I guess, buy Spirit Airlines. Let's do this. You, me, I'm kind of autistic and I really like airplanes. So vote for me as CEO. Are we actually doing this?
There were so many people interested that within hours, he had over $2 million pledged from thousands of people. People flooded that website so much that they crashed the website within 24 hours. But don't worry, he built a new website.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Letsbuyspiritair.com because the main domain totally messed up, so we just got a new one. We're back. We're live. Let's do this. You, me, bunch of our friends. Let's buy Spirit Air. And as a reminder, all of you reaching out, we're not taking money. This is non-binding pledges to show interest to everyone else that we're serious. Also, stop using my bad headshots in like articles. And I'm not talking to anyone on TV or anything like that. No. If you want to hear from me, it will be on social until I talk to my lawyers. Have a good Sunday.
Now, what is the plan for this? And there is actual precedent to go off of when it comes to something like this. And even on the website itself, which is letsbuyspiritair.com, not .org and not .net. There are other people trying to scam people. But on letsbuyspiritair.com, it is important to note that they are not taking money at this point. So if you go to a website that is taking actual cash, they are scammers. At this particular time, they are only looking for pledges because this whole thing has to go through a process, which I'll get into in a minute. So the reference that they are taking from here is the Green Bay Packers, which has been owned by the community since 1919. There are no shareholders, no private owners, no hedge fund people. At this point, the Green Bay Packers has about 500,000 shareholders that are fans only. And every person gets one vote. It doesn't matter how much they put into it. In the Green Bay Packers model, the shareholders do not get any dividends. They buy shares in order to support and in order to get a vote. To vote on things like directors and the other executives on the board, which are also payless. So nobody on the board actually gets paid. The only people that do get paid are the direct staff of the Green Bay Packers, the CEO and president of the Green Bay Packers. They're the only people that get paid, other than the players themselves. The rest of the money is put into their rainy day fund. It is used to renovate and upkeep the stadium so that they don't have to use taxpayer dollars for that. And they give money to charity as well. But the idea of community ownership of Spirit Airlines is slightly different, even though there will also be no hedge fund owners and no shareholders to be beholden to. There is a proposal of dividends to be paid from the people who make pledges and actually follow through on those pledges. And the amount of dividends that you make is dependent on how high your pledge is. $45 is the minimum pledge because that was the base price of the fare. And the idea, as you saw in that video, is that 44 million people paid at least that base price to buy a Spirit airline ticket in 2024. If that amount of people actually paid that $45, they would be able to raise $1.98 billion. But the goal of this mission right now is only $1.75 billion, with about $33 million so far being pledged. Now, how this would essentially work, and the reason why they're not taking any money right now, is that they need pretty much a ballpark of how many people would actually be interested in pledging and how much they would be willing to pledge. Once they have that information, they consolidate it up, and if there is enough, if the goal is actually met, then they would be able to put in a bid to get all of the assets from Spirit, even though Spirit has already shut down and started its liquidation process. This is according to Hunter Peterson, who has been talking to lawyers about this and even had a Zoom call with the Spirit flight attendants union reps, who are 100% behind this point. The lawyers are saying that this is pretty much a race. So he is calling for people like Mark Cuban, who have money to burn, to be a part of this process. But he is making it clear that they shouldn't be doing it for profit. This is money that they found under the couch and are ready to throw in the fireplace. You know what I mean?
Hey there, Hunter Peterson, potential future CEO of Spirit Airlines. Insane news. Okay, I just got off 2 calls. One with one of the largest law firms in the world that specialize in mergers and acquisitions, aviation, distressed assets, and debt. And they basically said, this is doable. We can do this. I also got off a call.
Said, if there is anybody who is watching this video, which I highly doubt, but just in case, who has that type of capital and wants to contact my man, this is him on his TikTok. Slide into his DMs and let him know. And for anybody else who wants to take part in this, the pledges start at $45. If everybody who got a Spirit airline flight in 2024 did $45, the people would be able to buy Spirit Airlines. And it would historically be the first people-owned, community-owned airline. Imagine the havoc that we could wreak on the airline industry when it came to price gouging. They wouldn't be able to hold a candle to the people. This potentially would be where the real power lies. So for all you people all up in my comments talking about sticking it to the billionaires, here's your chance.
Well, the body's still here, but the spirit has left the building. After 34 years, the Dollar General of the skies has shut down. But what some may see as a company's failure really is just cutting off a whole class of people from travel.
Message!
Sure, Spirit was dealing with a lot. 2 bankruptcies, multi-billion-dollar debt that was climbing higher than cruising altitude, rising jet fuel prices, frequent delays and poor customer service. Even with all that, having Spirit on the tarmac helped keep prices low across the board because bigger legacy airlines had to offer cheaper tickets to compete. That made travel accessible to people who couldn't afford to spend hundreds of dollars on a flight, even if all they could carry with them was a backpack. And a large share of Spirit's customer base was Black and brown, especially given that the airline had an affordable route to the Caribbean and Latin America. For years, people dragged anyone who dared to board a Spirit plane, but they ignored the value that the company added. Spirit set the floor when it came to prices, and every other airline had to move based on that. It's basic economics, but let's see if the same people clowning the budget-friendly vacation will be complaining about the high prices we could see in the months ahead.
Message!
The politics governing the airline industry played a role in this too. When JetBlue moved to buy Spirit in 2024, the Biden administration sued to block the deal, and a federal judge ruled that the merger would eliminate competition. But in reality, it seems like Spirit was the only one unable to compete. But one thing that never faltered was Spirit's safety standards, or the jokes flight attendants would make when doing presentations about them. In its 34-year history, Spirit never had a fatal passenger incident. Meanwhile, other airlines have been dealing with runway incursions, detaching doors, and deadly collisions left and right. Focus on nailing the basics and everybody wins. But if you don't, you could be dealing with the National Transportation and Safety Board for the next several months. And we're already seeing the standard shift without Spirit around. Soon, Delta's going to stop offering complimentary snacks and soft drinks on flights under 350 miles. And I don't know about you, I don't care how short the flight might be, I still want my Biscoff cookies and a ginger ale. And this is just a few months after they raised their checked bag fees. So while it's easy to typecast Spirit's customers as broke, plenty of passengers are looking for a discount. If they weren't, we wouldn't see people having 5011 flight tracker alerts on their phone for one given trip. So with Spirit out of the picture, who will no longer be able to afford to fly? And where will its 17,000 plus employees go work next? If other airlines don't have the pressure to keep prices down, just how expensive could traveling get? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
You should be really upset at the fact that Spirit Airlines is no longer an airline, and I'm going to tell you why. When there are more airlines, that means they have a whole bunch of competition. The less airlines there are, that means the other airlines are going to skyrocket their prices. Why? Because they can. They're going to look at it and they're going to say, you know what? Spirit Airlines dropped, so-and-so dropped, so-and-so dropped, so-and-so dropped. We can make our prices whatever we want because people are going to pay the price. So those who are laughing, oh my God, Spirit Airlines, yay, it's not an airline anymore. Well, now you look dumb. Yeah, you look dumb now. Because now everyone else, they're going to raise their prices because they can, because they don't have as much competition as they did before. So,
y'all, Spirit Airlines shutting down is not about people not traveling. Spirit Airlines shutting down is about people not ascending. And I know that may sound crazy to you, but all I need for you to do is just follow me. Now, a lot of people are not huge believers of what happened in the physical is also the same thing that's happening in the spiritual, right? Is above, so below. So trust me when I tell you that there is no coincidence that this airline was shut down on the third day of the month after being in business for 33 years, okay? 333. And it is also not a coincidence that when you are on a plane, you are not considered a customer. You are not considered a person. You are considered a soul. Right now, the collective consciousness is elevating and ascending at an astronomical level. And this is something that they cannot control because it puts them in a position where they are no longer able to control the narrative. So them shutting down Spirit Airlines in the physical is them shutting down your spirit in the spiritual, as above, so below. And a lot of people, like I said before, may not believe this, but everything is spiritual. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video because I know I probably already sound crazy to y'all on Beyonce's internet, but stay woke.
Okay, so Spirit Airlines being shut down really has me in my feelings. For one, they're only one of the three airlines that offer discounted tickets at the airport. There's been so many times I can count where I've went to Mexico for $84 on Spirit. I've went to Florida for $30. No, like $13 one time. Like, it's really that cheap to go and book at the airport and get some of the taxes waived. It was like a carrier charge, a commercial carrier charge that would be waived when you booked it at the airport. And Spirit also had the option, if you wanted Wi-Fi in your flight, Frontier did not offer that. Specifically at my airport, Spirit had the only nonstop flights to the locations I wanted to go to, and they were cheaper. Every other airline had layovers that were several hours, and the flights would be 3-4 times the price. Spirit didn't have those issues for me. I've taken 2 flights overseas with Spirit to DR in Mexico, never had any issues. I was never a picky person when it came to my seat. People always complained about the additional fees that Spirit would add to your flight. I never picked a seat. I would add a personal item, and then I'm military, so I got free check bags. So these were never issues I ran into. Yes, I know some people complained about the customer service. However, I believe in you give what you get. Yes, some people would give a hard time. That's not the fault of the company. That's the fault of the staff. Anyways, my heart goes out to all the flight attendants and people in aviation who are impacted by these major layoffs, and I'm hoping something comes soon.
There's a bit of revisionist history going on with Spirit Airlines. I'm gonna let y'all have it. I don't really want to speak ill on the dead, and I know we're mourning, but you know, it was a discount airline for a reason. I flew Spirit one time going to Maine, and the bag prices, like the fees that they had for the bags, were atrocious, and they did not advertise it like that online. They did not, okay? That is not the price I thought I was going to pay. I was pissed. And also, their little carry-ons, you mean like a little mini purse that you could carry on? You can't, And you know they were actually getting some bad press. It was either them or Frontier or both of them were getting some bad press for like arguing down and like having different rules. Like your shit would actually fit inside the little thing, and then they still wouldn't let you go, or they try to charge. They love the hidden fee. I know we're kind of championing them right now as like the ethical airline. By the end of the day, I actually started just like flying other places, because like when you do the math with the bag fees, it adds up. Now, if you're not going somewhere where you like need a lot of luggage, Spirit might be fine, but they definitely played. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Like the budget airline really did need to be there because they set the price. Like they made the price lower, and I know these other airlines are about to play, but I wasn't a fan of Spirit.
Okay, I have the great misfortune of reporting the end of an era in America today. Spirit Airlines shut down operations globally.
What happened? They didn't let JetBlue buy it like 4 years ago.
People are still scrambling to book new flights home.
Man, I'm going to miss all the Spirit stories.
Spirit is blaming the Iran war and increased jet fuel prices as a major reason they had to shut down their doors, and say they rejected a last-minute $500 million bailout offer from the Trump administration because it would have had the government as a 90% owner of Spirit, which is a bad deal, buddy.
That's wild.
A TikToker and video game voice actor went viral over the weekend when he proposed that citizens just buy Spirit. I got 3 million views, and he set up a GoFundMe that got $23 million in like 36 hours. And it had over 36,000 people donating, and it crashed the GoFundMe site on Sunday. So like people were just going to buy Spirit.
That's amazing.
I will say this, the Spirit big seats, while short-lived, were the best deal in flight. RIP to Spirit.
Pour one out. It's a good one.
A lot of my locations that I do go to are Spirit locations. I am a contract pilot. Some of you guys know that. I fly private jets. Well, for me, it doesn't matter which airline I'm flying on. I'm not the one paying for the ticket, but I take pride in whenever I send my invoice to whoever hired me for that trip, and I could show them like a lower price ticket. You know, it shows that you're not just being a guy, you're just trying to get the most expensive ticket, first class, all these options added, and you're just invoicing them for it, you know? So I took pride in sending $100 invoice.
Y'all don't want to feed no folks. Y'all don't want to house no folks. Y'all want a citizen-owned airline. Not a citizen-owned hospital. Not a citizen-owned chain of grocery stores with real food. Not citizen-owned schools, but raise millions in no time at all for a citizen-owned airline.
Listen, 124,000 people just pledged $88 million to buy Spirit Airlines. But is it possible? Let's explore the receipts together. Receipt number 1 is the federal law called the Howey test. The moment that someone takes money from the public with the promise of profit, they have created a security according to this law. That means that they must register their company with the SEC, or the Security Exchange Commission. And that is why nothing is being sold now, because this boy doesn't want to go to jail. Receipt number 2, and this is what personally piqued my interest. On the website, there's a box you can check for accredited investor. What this means is any individual who has a net worth of $1 million or they earn an annual income of $200,000 or more. Most of America does not qualify. So when a pledge form asks, what type of investor are you? It is quietly sorting you into 2 lanes. The private lane moves fast and includes mostly wealthy people and can raise unlimited capital. But public crowdfunding must be capped at $5 million. So if you are not one of the hundreds of thousands of people, if this thing is successful, that gets in on that $5 million raise, then you have to get in on it in another year. Number 3, since no money has been collected, right now this is a mailing list. So make sure that you trust the person who is collecting it. Now, can this be done? Yes. It's been done historically by the Green Bay Packers. In 1923, the owners sold shares for as few as $5. So this is what it would take to build a Spirit Airlines 2.0. Real money raised the legal way through Regulation A+. Professional operators at the top, all right? Not just passionate founders. This video was helpful. Comment professional.
No other airline could I get off work on a Friday night, race to the airport with a tote bag, buy a last-minute round-trip flight, fly to Vegas for 2 nights, have a grand ghetto ball, fly back home on a Sunday morning, be ready for work by Monday for $89. Spirit Airlines shutting down is the end of an era.
Spirit Airlines just shut down after 34 years, and people are somehow confused why. Let me explain. You see, the thing is that anything budget-friendly is not built to last. As someone that's made millions online, I can tell you that whenever I focus on a budget-friendly customer, I always lose. And it's because cheap customers are ironically expensive customers. They want the most, they complain the most, and they end up costing your business more than you even know. So any business selling to cheap people is pretty much cooked in the long run. So learn from Spirit's mistake and don't sell to cheap people.
17,000 people were let go today. And honestly, I am in shock. I am appalled. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. And I'm hurt. Because with Spirit Hood, absolutely. Was it like you was flying on Soul Plane? Absolutely. But would I fly it without fail? Absolutely. Because one thing about Spirit allowed people, regular people who had like regular 9-to-5s, it gave people who were not making the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, it gave us a place to go and get a flight. When we couldn't afford an $800 flight, because guess what? Maybe your rent was that maybe that $800 need to go towards your rent. So maybe you could only afford a $250 flight. So guess what? We were right on Spirit. I now live in Dallas, okay? I work in Baltimore. So when I tell you since November of 24, I have been on more than 20 round trip flights. 20, okay? Not all back to Baltimore, but a lot of them, yes, I went back home to meetings, to events, to this, to that, to the other. Then I was traveling other places because guess what? Spirit allowed me to live and pay my bills. But today, 17,000 people were let go. And the hard part was because I traveled so much, at the DFW airport here in Dallas, I knew some of these people. There was this one person I remember, they had major tenure. They'd been there for more than 18 years. I mean, were they a little stern? Absolutely. But did they always get their job done? Absolutely. I remember there was a girl who literally would actually make sure every time I came, she took care of me. And I mean, we would be sitting there kee-heeing and cack-cack-cack-cacking. And she would literally ask me, so how's the house job? How's your work? And I would tell her. And she would tell me about her family and about her holidays and about her kids and her husband. And I was so excited to get an update. Like, I mean, and she would show me pictures of the kid. And I'd be like, oh, they growing so. These were like my family. So you mean to tell me this morning at 3 a.m., they logged in to nothing. There's no severance. There's no, here's an offer. There's nothing for them. Nothing. Really? I'm upset. I'm upset for them. I'm upset. And honestly, yes, I still had 3 more flights. 3 flights that I actually had trips for. And I needed to book a 4th. And they were all with Spirit. And right now, I'm not even sad for myself. I'm sad for the people that have lost their jobs. All I can say is what a friend told me about a year ago. It is time for you to build for you. It's time for you to build your name. It's time for you to build your brand. If you have a God idea, it is time for you to build it. Because so often, this could happen to you. And sincerely and truthfully, if you are your own boss, can't nobody fire you but you. I am absolutely and utterly in shock that this has happened. And I'm upset because some of these people got me through some of the hardest times. And if you guys are out there, I'm praying for you. I'm so sorry this happened. But thank you for serving us with a smile and for being a little hood. I appreciate that. Really do. 17,000. Build your own, because any job could let you go at any time.
A co-CEO, I'll just take $750,000 for the year.
This is the reason why Spirit Airlines has shut down. Everyone loves to complain about budget airlines, but we just lost one company keeping the entire commercial aviation industry in check early Saturday morning. Spirit Airlines has officially ceased all operations and started an orderly wind down, permanently shutting down after 34 years. They've canceled every single flight, told passengers to go to the airport, and left travelers completely stranded, staring at an empty ticket counter. But the craziest part of this whole story isn't that a massive airline has gone under. It's why they went under and the massive financial trap that the rest of the market is about to fall into because of it. Let's take a look at the financial architecture of the collapse. Spirit has been bleeding cash, filing for bankruptcy twice since 2024, and taking a massive hit from surging jet fuel costs driven by the Iran war. To survive, they've tried to negotiate last-minute $500 million federal bailout package from the Trump administration, but the deal came with brutal terms. The U.S. government would have taken a 90% stake in the airline. Ultimately, powerful bondholders, including Ken Griffin's Citadel and Ares Management Corporation, balked at the terms, and the government completely walked away from the deal. With their cash reserves drained, the airline liquidated overnight. Air traffic controllers were literally coming over onto the radio to say their final goodbyes to Spirit pilots. What does this actually mean for the macro travel system? You might be thinking, well, I never fly Spirit anyway, so who really cares about this? You should care. Spirit Airlines was the ultimate price enforcer. I've just flown to Las Vegas and back for only $60. Even if consumers complain about their no-frills model, their rock-bottom fares forced the premium legacy carriers to keep their own prices competitive. According to Aviation Analytics, when Spirit exits a specific route, average round-trip fares across all other airlines jump by 23%, or roughly $60. With Spirit completely out of the mix and approximately 17,000 employees out of a job, the entire market just lost its biggest price anchor. Industry experts are already warning that without Spirit and with fuel prices already elevated, ticket prices are going to skyrocket across the board. Spirit might have charged you for a bottle of water and carry on back, but their underlying business model kept the entire industry honest. Now that the bright yellow planes are permanently grounded, we're all going to pay the legacy carrier tax.
If you haven't heard, as of today, Spirit Airlines is actually allegedly closing. And there's been a lot of talk of it over the past few days, and I want to get my thoughts about it. Objectively, in my opinion, this is a huge loss, both for Spirit employees, but also just for travelers, specifically US-based travelers. Because the closing is going to be almost effective immediately, it's quite literally like you had a job one day or yesterday, and then you don't have a job today. So I feel extremely bad for the pilots, for the gate staff, for the flight attendants, so on and so forth. But I also want to draw our attention to Spirit closing is very much indicative of how bad the increase of jet fuel is because of the war, but also the cost of goods in general. Spirit has been around for about 34 years. The impact of cost of goods being able to put a business that has been in business for 34 years out of business, impacting their cash flow, so on and so forth, should be alarming to anyone. And also something else that I don't really see people talking about is airlines like Spirit actually force the industry to provide competitive economy offerings. They provided an a la carte option for the travelers like myself that can travel with a backpack or travel with a carry-on, but then also for people that life happens to and you have to get to another city randomly or last minute, whether that be for a family member or something else. Spirit closing makes traveling just way more inaccessible to the average person. So I'm not exactly sure why that's like funny, but I would encourage you to think a little bit more deeply about it. I personally took 56 flights last year, 6 of them being Spirit. I was able to go to Punta Cana round trip on Spirit, a trip that I had so much fun on. I was able to fly to Houston, Detroit, Miami, so I could show up better as a friend for birthdays, for graduations. And now that's just simply not an option. Today is definitely a sad day for the travelers.
The sad part about it is they done shut down Spirit. So now, I think the government trying to stop the movement from people in the country because they know everybody can't pay for them. Yeah, everybody can't pay for the Delta flights and all that. So they trying to limit the movement. They trying to slow down the movement and stop people from moving and grooving and getting back and forth and to and fro. So now that Spirit shut down, everybody gonna have to get on Delta. I mean, the people who fly cheap gonna have to fly Frontier. But push kind of shove, Frontier might get slapped off the market too because they just trying to stop the movement. Y'all got to wake up and peep what's going on. They trying to keep the people, the poor people, poor because they don't even want poor people to be able to move around and live life. So this is my message to people that is poor or less fortunate or just can't afford the luxury to fly or for people that just don't want to spend that kind of money. We cannot let the government stop us from living life and growing. If you can't afford, if Spirit is gone and you know you want to fly cheap still, let's all go to Frontier. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never fly Frontier before or Spirit, but I got the spirit to fly Frontier. if I had to. I got that kind of spirit in me. I got the spirit to go fly Frontier flight if I had to. So let's push Frontier through the roof, y'all. Let's push Frontier through the roof. Forget it. We got to push Frontier through the roof since they trying to play. They trying to play. We can't let whatever happened to Spirit Airlines happen to Frontier. Y'all got to go hard for Frontier, because if y'all don't, y'all ain't going to be able to move around. Y'all ain't going to be able to move around. It's going to be over with. Y'all ain't gonna be able to move around. So y'all better go hard for Frontier, because you see they just clipped Spirit.
It hasn't fully hit me yet that my last flight with Spirit was going to be my last Spirit Airlines flight ever. I would do anything to be back in the Spirit Airlines terminal, laying out my luggage and having to throw stuff away because my bag was overweight. Like, I know it was annoying at the time, but like, they were in a tight ship and I should have respected their rules, and I would do anything to get that back. Looking out the window and seeing Howdy written on the airplane wing is just so like memorable and so iconic of Spirit Airlines, and like every time I see the word howdy now, I'm like just reminded of them. Even like the 45-minute long promo on the flights to like get the Spirit Airlines credit card, I'm gonna miss that too. Like, I'm gonna miss having to like, you know, kind of turn up my music and then taking it out, maybe it's a good deal, and then putting it back in. They were like an integral part of my like early 20s. Every single Vegas trip, always Spirit Airlines, always had the best time. I was 20 years old. I showed them my fake ID. They accepted it. They were like, you know, trying to like get me more rounds and everything. They were basically partying with me. The flight attendants were. And they actually taught me also like what, because I was young and I didn't know this at the time, but like you get more drunk in the air because of like the altitude and stuff. And that's something that I think of like every time I fly and drink. I know I have it easy because I'm not a flight attendant. I don't work for Spirit Airlines. So like I'm not losing out on a job, and I feel so bad for all those people because they were genuinely like the hardest workers, the best crew. They made Spirit Airlines the way that it was. But this loss of Spirit Airlines is truly such a trickle down effect, and it's crazy to me that something that was so like permanent and stagnant in my life is just gone now. American Airlines is always like the second cheapest option, and I literally have never had one good experience on American Airlines, so this is gonna be rough.
It'd be better if you took $500 million, put it in a pile on the floor, poured gasoline on it, lit it on fire.
That sounds expensive, too.
But there you'd at least get some heat. You could roast some marshmallows. You'd get something positive. A government bailout was a terrible idea. I was very vocal saying we should not be bailing out corporations across the board. And the federal government doesn't know a damn thing about running a budget airline. And so I said that publicly and very vocally. Last week, I had dinner with Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary. Howard is a good friend. He and I work together very closely.
Was he advocating for a bailout?
He was the leading advocate of the bailout. I will tell you, in the course of the dinner, we spent probably half the time at dinner with me making the case vigorously. This is a really bad idea. The analogy I drew, I said, look, the plan was $500 million in exchange for 90% of the shares in Spirit. I said, look, it'd be better if you took $500 million, put it in a pile on the floor, poured gasoline on it, lit it on fire.
That sounds expensive, too.
But there you'd at least get some heat. You could roast some marshmallows. You'd get something positive. My case was, if we pour it into the airline, we'll lose the money. And the federal government has zero expertise. Who thinks the federal government knows how to schedule flight attendants? Who thinks the federal government knows how to get a suitcase from Pittsburgh to Cleveland? I mean, just the mechanics of running an airline, there is no expertise in the federal government. I'm very glad the president made the right decision. We're not going down this road. It would have been a serious mistake if we had.
Spirit at 3 a.m. this morning grounded all flights globally. 17,000 jobs gone. Spirit had a profit margin of 0.5%, meaning it was barely profitable. Like, do you see what I mean? Why it was important to have Spirit? Because they weren't profit hungry. They damn near was selling you flights at operating cost. That's what nobody realized. Like, everybody talks shit about Spirit, but they were the only company not price gouging you and lying to you. So now people are stranded. Your Spirit flight, if you had a Spirit flight, is canceled. Because Spirit thought it assumed in February. They had filed for bankruptcy in February, but they had planned to pull themselves out in the summertime, because that's usually like when they ramp up. And that was at the assumption that jet fuel was going to be like $2.50 a gallon at most. That shit is almost $5 a gallon. Yeah. I've been researching this. Go check out my Substack, because I've been talking about these airlines are about to go bye-bye, unfortunately. I just want to let you guys know that it's over 800,000 seats that are gone from the airline industry now. And they were supposed to receive a government package because Trump was like, I mean, maybe the federal government should help with Spirit. They're drowning, and that's like 15,000 jobs. But guess what? They tried to get people to buy it. Everybody's like, if y'all don't want to buy it, why would we buy it? And if we don't want to buy it, why would you buy it? And everybody's like, they don't want to breathe life into a corpse. And what they really were saying was that Spirit was one of the fucking price floors, one of the price ceilings that was fucking with us and making it hard for us to price gouge. So we're okay with them leaving. Like, that's fine. And when they were going to get a $500 million government loan, Republicans said, fuck no. Other airlines said absolutely not. Like I've been saying, the big airlines like American, United have been saying no. And creditors did not want to give them money. So all of the rich people were working together to kill Spirit. Yep. Because Spirit wasn't really a for-profit airline, if that makes sense. But now Delta, United, American, and Frontier are offering what? Rescue flights to anybody that's stranded, 50% off, $50 capped flights to get your ass home. Coordinated by the Department of Transportation. These rescue fares, competitors sweeping in to save Spirit passengers. Less competition from Spirit because it was a huge competitor. Airbus is literally eating Boeing up, literally. The prices can rise, everybody. They all killed Spirit. This wasn't like Spirit failed or anything. Like if Spirit was United Airlines, they would have got that $500 million package. It wouldn't have been no question. But the airlines opposed only giving Spirit a package, a subsidized package to help them. This isn't, again, Spirit went bankrupt. No. Trump refused to negotiate with Iran and open the strait. And so now we're going to watch as the economy feels the shocks. And what just happened? They just killed working class mobility. And when we start talking about mobility, we're talking about the actual act to move your body freely from state to state, country to country, border to border, to be able to see, touch, taste, and enjoy other places. That's what we're talking about. Oh, and if you had points, anything like that, you had a credit card, debit card, they canceling that shit, they sending you your money back. And no points. Your points just went to worthlessness. Like, it's
approach life with the audacity and delusion of the guy telling us all that we're going to buy Spirit Airlines, because he genuinely is doing in such a fantastic way, and it actually feels like maybe it could be possible, and if it's ever going to be possible, it will be under his stewardship, which is remarkable because he has rallied such a community of people into not just coming together but saying, hey, I'm willing to put my money into this and pledge myself as part of this. He has multiple people bringing their expertise and their knowledge because he is approaching it from a place where he has incredible charisma. You feel very connected in the way that he talks. He also clearly is incredibly intelligent, has taken a lot of time to research and understand what it is that he's asking, what it is that he's doing. And he also recognizes one person cannot know everything and cannot do everything. So he's saying, you know, I want lawyers to step in and help. I want to talk to the flight attendants from Spirit to understand what their needs are, to understand what's important. And the incredible thing about all of it is that even if we don't manage to buy Spirit Airlines successfully as a community coming together, there are changes and improvements that are going to happen from the fallout of this airline going bankrupt because of him regardless. And that is incredible. And that's why you should absolutely approach big swings and big steps with that audacity and that delusion, because even if you don't fully get there, you're going to get some of the way and you're going to bring incredible communities together as you do it.
There is no way on God's green earth that y'all can be this confident and this wrong all the time. What kind of economy are we living in where 17,000 people lose their jobs overnight? Trump is bankrupting America one business at a time. Spirit didn't fall overnight, boo-boo. They lost between $2.5 to $3 billion since 2020. Billion with a B. And they were also sitting on $6 to $7 billion in debt. Again, with a B. But the final nail in the coffin was their $3.8 billion merger with a B, with JetBlue Airways was blocked in 2024 by a federal judge, who was a Ronald Reagan appointed judge. So let's line this up. Years of losses, mountains of debt, and a merger that was blocked under the Biden DOJ and a Reagan appointed judge. Trump was nowhere in the vicinity of Spirit committing seppuku. It's posts like this that inspired this shirt, because maybe if we bring back bullying, y'all would say less stupid shit. Anyways, I'm going to go celebrate my birthday with my husband now, so this is fun.
Let me just say this plainly. A citizen-owned airline is not even the top 100 things that we need to be tackling as American citizens. And the idea that in 2026 that's the start to create any kind of viable change in this nation at this juncture is insane. Over 500,000 Black women lost their jobs, and even more. It keeps toppling up. And not once did I see anyone create a whole groundswell of support or movement or money to ensure that those Black women had some sense of security. There are people on this app, left and right, asking people to watch videos all the way through because they're living in their car. There was a whole series of videos that are still going about the age of disclosure where people are really talking about them being this close, if not already in destitution. Everybody is talking about the price of groceries constantly going up. Safeway, Whole Foods, Publix don't have to be the only option. So when I hear people talking about going in on buying this airline, I just hear people that just want to stick it to the man versus people who actually want solutions that are going to help people. So no, a citizen-owned airline is not a start to anything except for more people finding ways to get rich while other people starve.
Donald Trump is not to blame for Spirit Airlines going out of business. Their closure is entirely due to their piss-poor management and their piss-poor company. And they've been dealing with financial issues for years. They've been in a financial deficit since 2020. They couldn't get a bailout essentially from COVID. So much so that even in 2022, numerous other airlines were set to buy them out. Frontier Airlines reached an agreement to acquire Spirit, but the deal was actually abandoned after a higher competing bid from JetBlue went through. And for all of you guys who have TDS, that deal from JetBlue was actually blocked by the federal regulators in the Biden administration. 2 years after, the airline had to file for bankruptcy twice since 2024. And even those 2 bankruptcy claims were not enough to save the company. They then asked in 2026 for a bailout by the federal government, which thankfully Donald Trump and his administration turned down. And now every liberal that's out there is claiming that Donald Trump is to blame for this entire debacle. And as a taxpayer myself, I am so glad that our taxpayer dollars are not going towards an airline who has had a failing business model for the past 6 years. Actually, they were in a little bit of trouble even prior to that, but specifically decline since 2020. This is not specifically due to the gas prices. This is not specifically due to this current administration. It is simply because their consumers were not purchasing their product, which were seats on a plane. And their business model being this a la carte pricing where you pay for every little thing that you want. So if you need to check a bag, that's an extra cost. If you need an overhead bag, that's an extra cost. If you need to carry a book bag, that's an extra cost. If you want to get a water, that's an extra cost. That simply just isn't feasible for most people and tends to be highly annoying. So what happened? Customers stopped purchasing their product and now they're going out of business, rightfully so. So as opposed to blaming Donald Trump for their lack of business etiquette, maybe you should be thanking him that he's not wasting our taxpayer dollars on yet another failed airline.
I saw someone on this app say that it's wild the way that white people can all come together to save Spirit Airlines, but you all couldn't come together to vote for the right person. I'm sorry. No, because it is wild. Y'all come together for things like Spirit, like they're saving Spirit Airlines. They're like buying it or whatever to like have an airline for the people, which I think is great. I saw a video of a bunch of white people breaking into like a puppy mill or something, I think it was, to save all these puppies, which more power to you. But I'm like, where's this gusto for everyone else? Like, y'all will save airlines and dogs, but oh, if you're in your office and you see the one black employee being berated, you're gonna be silent because you're like, that's not my fight, I'm so sorry.
So let me tell you why we all should be worried about Spirit Airlines going out of business. Spirit Airlines made it possible for every American to fly. Think about a single mother who's taking their kids on a trip. It was affordable for them. Now without Spirit Airlines, there's a whole like demographic, and not necessarily like black, white, whatever. There's a demographic of socioeconomic people who will no longer have access to being able to fly. So about Spirit Airlines. Now, while I don't fly Spirit, I fly United. I have flown Spirit before because their deals were second to none. I flew them from Denver to Jamaica, and my husband's like, you flew first class. I'm like, Spirit doesn't have first class. I just sat in the first seats that were just bigger. But I would say my time on Spirit, it wasn't that bad. And so we all should be worried because now there's going to be a whole sectionality of the United States, a whole demographic of the United States that won't have access to flying. That's a problem. Some people don't have Spirit Airlines. And with that, have the day you deserve.